Talk about a crusher. Yes! Oh!
Are you kidding me?
And gone!
Welcome back to the Schoolyard Sports podcast. On this podcast, Lane Frank, we're now in episode 226. It's for 226 episodes through, and I got an action-packed episode planned for you. The MLB trade deadline is over. College football is here. We've got college football in the month of August. We've got NFL preseason in the month of August, and we've got a lot more to discuss on episode 226. Let's hop into it. And we're back on episode 226, and we're back in the Texas studio, the main studio. You know, it's fun to be back here. When I'm back here, I know it's football time. It's time to get things going with this episode 226. We're entering another year. I'm entering my senior year of high school. We started the show when I was in 7th grade. We've got longevity here at Schoolyard Sports. And let's start out the headlines with an NBA player with some deep longevity right now, Luka Doncic, who just signed another record-breaking contract with the Los Angeles Lakers. Congrats to Luka. Big deal for him. Another thing in the NBA, Jonathan Kuminga still not signing with the Warriors. They're still not shopping him around. It's a cat and mouse game. What's going to happen? Leave your answer in the comments. Now, in the NFL, we had our first preseason game last week between the Lions and the Chargers, where Trey Lance, a guy I was a big believer on when he came out of college. I had North Dakota State, Trey Lance, number 3 overall pick to the Niners. He started for the Chargers, and he had a whale of a game. He had a great game. Love that from Trey Lance. Shedeur Sanders, not so much up in Cleveland. Now, they did say he will start the first preseason game, but he's 4th on the depth chart. They just signed Tyler Huntley. I don't know what that means for Shedeur Sanders. Will Shedeur be cut? I expect to see that. But hey, maybe he does really well in the preseason, and that changes. Now, Jordan Addison is going to be suspended for the first 3 games. Don't drink and drive, kids. That's the only thing I can say for Jordan Addison and his situation. 3-game suspension for the Minnesota Vikings wide receiver. Another thing that's banned in the NFL are smelling salts. I've never done smelling salts. I've never even tried it because it seems crazy to even be knocked out by a smelling salt, where you get a concussion, you get knocked out, the wind taken out of you, and you take a smelling salt to get yourself hyped up. Whether it's for an NFL game. I would never do it for a tennis match, which is what I play, but it seems ridiculous that these NFL players are upset about smelling salts being banned. I wish I had smelling salts here right now, try on the show. It'd be pretty funny, but smelling salts banned in the NFL, and George Kittle, pretty upset about that. Last thing in the NFL, longtime Chargers wide receiver Keenan Allen, who played in the Bears last season, heading back to LA for what probably will be his final NFL season. Congrats to Keenan Allen in LA for re-linking back up. In the MLB, our trade deadline was huge, starting off with my New York Mets, where they got a super bullpen of Tyler Rogers, Ryan Helsley, and the closer, Edwin Diaz. Now, the Mets are on a huge skid right now, but this bullpen should help out with that, with how bad the starting pitching has been for how good the bullpen has been. The Mets need to start hitting some balls and winning some games. Another big reliever that was on the market and went over to the Mets' division rival was Joan Duran of the Minnesota Twins to the Philadelphia Phillies. He's got an incredible intro, similar to Ryan Helsley's Hells Bells, but with a twist on it, a Latin American twist on it. Like to see it. 100-mile-an-hour plus thrower. The Phillies got themselves a lockdown closer. When Jose Alvarado comes back next week for them, they're going to be a great bullpen. And the leader right now in the NL East are going to stay the leaders in the NL East if the Mets can't keep things back up. And the Phillies are on fire. Mason Miller, a guy who's a closer in the MLB, who's a star closer in the MLB, is under control until 2030, and the San Diego Padres just traded Leo DeVries for him. Big prospect, Leo DeVries, number 3 prospect in the MLB, gets traded for Mason Miller. Huge deal right there. Carlos Correa, going back to his roots in Houston. I think everybody from those Houston championship teams, 2017, 2018, 2019, they kind of all want to just do a mass exodus and leave Houston. About everybody except Jose Altuve. But now it's okay. We can go back to Houston. We can be where we want to be. And Carlos Correa already playing well in Astros uniform at third base and a little bit of shortstop still mixed in there. A team who hasn't had much success over the past few years, and not because they didn't cheat and not because they're in a low market, the Miami Marlins. They're in Miami, and I think this stretch of the Miami Marlins has showed that there are Marlins fans, that there's fans for any team in the world, It just depends on how much you win. There's going to be kids in Miami who will go to Lone Depot Park. There's going to be Yankees fans who live in Miami and are going to say, our Yankees just got swept in Miami. Hey, what if we become Marlins fans? That leads to my next point about the New York Yankees and how they are slumping huge in the MLB right now. Marlins, 6 straight series wins. Yankees, their super bullpen has collapsed. Already, super bullpen of Jake Bird, demoted. Camilo Doval hasn't done well. David Bednar hasn't done well. All those guys that the Yankees traded for in their super bullpen haven't done too well. But that's about for the news in MLB. Switching things over to the best sport in the world, college football. Big news in college football today as the University of Louisiana Monroe head coach Bryant Vincent is going to also be their athletic director. Now, for most high schools, they do this where the football coach is the athletic director. And back in the day, we saw it with college football. Phil Fulmer at Tennessee, even here at El Paso. Bob Stoll at UTEP being the head coach and the athletic director. But to do it at the same time is rare in today's sport. Who's going to fire Brian Vincent? If ULM doesn't win games, he's going to have to fire himself, it seems like. Brian Vincent is going to be the first athletic director to become a head coach, or a head coach become an athletic director in this 2020 decade. Coaches poll came out in college football. Some controversies in there. Should Texas be number 1? Should Illinois be super high? What about Ohio State? We're going to have to wait and see on that. And the last thing, I want to talk about the headlines right here in college football. We see a lot of teams ranked high in that poll. We see Georgia high at number 4. We see Penn State really high. We see LSU really high. We see Clemson pretty high. All those teams last year were mediocre for their standards. LSU didn't make the playoffs. Clemson barely made the playoffs with a bad team. Penn State underperformed in the semifinal game where they really should have made the national championship. So why, when all these teams run it back, we think they're national title contenders once again? What changed? Not much changed for Georgia. Gunnar Stockton is still not going to be a good quarterback. Garrett Nussmeier couldn't even win 10 games last year. And Drew Aller hasn't won a huge game his whole entire career. That's about my headlines. Talking all things college football, NBA, NFL, MLB. And we've got a lot more coming on episode 226. So stay tuned, Schoolyard Sports fans. Now, take of the week. This week's take of the week is about why the Georgia Bulldogs won't make the college football playoff. Here's my reasons. You've got Gunnar Stockton at quarterback. You've got the weakest Georgia defense in years, and you got a quarterback like Gunnar Stockton who can't do much on a football field. The running back room isn't strong this year. The receiver room definitely isn't strong, and your schedule is tough. Week 3 at Tennessee. Then you're going Bama your next game. Week 5, but that's a home game. At Auburn versus Florida versus Ole Miss versus Texas and versus Georgia Tech to end out your season. Very tough schedule for Georgia. Kirby Smart has a bad season, and Georgia doesn't make the college ball playoff. That's take of the week. Now, top 5. This week's top 5 is the top 5 NIL brand deals we've seen in college football. Number 5, Built Bar in Provo, Utah, where this protein brand sponsored all the BYU 36 walk-ons and paid for their tuition for them to be scholarship players. That's number 5. Great gesture by Built Bar. Number 4, when DJ Uiagalelei entered the Dr. Pepper college football commercials. Those commercials were a staple in college football in the 2010s, future going on in the 2020s, and DJU was the first player to be featured in them. 4, DJU Dr. Pepper. 3, Kool-Aid McKinstry from Alabama, now New Orleans Saints, partnering up with Kool-Aid, the brand. It's an awesome name, Kool-Aid McKinstry, partnering up with Kool-Aid. The Alabama star has a great NIL deal to his name. 3, Kool-Aid McKinstry. 2, Dijon Bijan. When Bijan Robinson had his own Dijon mustard brand, that was a great NIL deal. That's number 2. And number 1, the best NIL deal on here is the Coldest Crawford teaming up with an HVAC company. Their slogan was, the coldest player, the coldest deals. Great name to Coldest Crawford, and he was at Nebraska, teaming up with a local HVAC company. That's about for top 5 this week. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Now, did you know? This week's Did You Know is, did you know the highest rated number 1 overall pick every year in fantasy football hasn't finished as the number 1 scorer in fantasy football for at least the past 10 years. The closest guy to do it was Todd Gurley in 2018. He was the highest picked number 1 overall guy in August and September, but wasn't the number 1 overall scorer at the end of the season. He was close to number 2. But did you know that the number 1 overall pick every year isn't the highest score at the end of the season. That's about for Did You Know this week. So, if you're thinking about taking Jamar Chase or Saquon Barkley, they probably won't be the highest rated score at the end of the season. Did you know that? Leave it down in the comments. That's about for Did You Know this week. Oh, okay. I'm going to request my trade right here. Thank you so much, Dallas, for everything you have done for me. Click send. Oh, you want to give me a contract extension? Right away. That's how players do it in the NFL. They sign their contract right after they request their trade. And that's what I'm seeing right here with Micah Parsons. He's going to tweet out, oh, thank you, but, I've requested my trade to Stephen Jones. I'm done with Dallas. Thank you, Dallas, for everything. I'm from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I grew up a fan. By next week, Micah Parsons is going to be doing this in Dallas and thanking Jerry Jones. Because that's what we do in the NFL. That's what players do. Terry McLaurin is definitely going to do that. It's expected at this point. Trade requests mean nothing. I got my hopes up this year. When Myles Garrett requested a trade, I was like, oh, Myles Garrett wants a trade? Myles Garrett wants out of Cleveland. He's not even going to negotiate with Cleveland because he just wants to go to a new team. But, of course, what he wanted was a contract extension. Something a lot of teams could have given him, but hey, why not stay in Cleveland? Because contract extensions are ways to say, I want a trade, I want a contract extension. That's how the NFL works. I think it's ridiculous for Micah Parsons because Micah Parsons wants to be in Dallas. I think we all know that. I think Micah Parsons might be a little fed up right now because Jerry Jones mistreated him in the negotiation room, doesn't do things the proper way. Okay, he's old. Stephen Jones, his son, he's going to do what he says. Micah Parsons is a legend. He's a great player in the NFL right now, and he's going to be a legend. He's awesome. He's an awesome linebacker. He's your fantasy football defensive player pick every year if your league does that. He's a great player. And he's going to be a Hall of Famer, I think, once all said and done. So why wouldn't Dallas sign him to a contract extension? I think they will. And I think Micah Parsons will definitely sign it. Like I said, you make the tweet, you sign the contract. That's how things work in the NFL. And that's me putting on my GM hat for this week. Micah Parsons trade request. It's not real. Smoke and mirrors. Because next week, he's doing that. That's about for my GM hat this week. Still more to come on episode 226. All right, enough with the props. Let's get down to business and Hold'em, Fold'em, college football, quarterback edition, top 10 teams. Now, I know the most about college football than anybody in the country. You're not going to get me on college football. I'll know more than anybody, and I'll get things right more than anybody in college football. I've been saying that since I was 13, since I was 12, and I'm 17 now, still saying it. So a lot of these top 10 teams, and I posted this on Schoolyard Sports, they don't know who their quarterback is going to be. They don't know if their quarterback is going to be a starter at the end of the season. I'm going to go with who their expected starter is and to see if that guy will be their starter at the end of the season. Hold them, fold them. Number one team in the country, Texas football. And I'm going off the coaches poll. Don't flame me and say, oh, how is Texas number one? They're not really number one in my eyes, but they are in the coaches poll. Arch Manning, yes, will be the starter at the end of the season for Texas. Ohio State, number two. Julian Sayin is the expected starter. I'm going to go with no. I think you lose to Texas week one. If you lose Texas week one, then there's turmoil in Ohio. Then Lincoln Keenholz is like, well, I've been here for a while. I'm a good player. Let me step it in there. Tavian St. Clair is going to freak out. He's going to want to go in there. Anthony Varner is going to make a play to be a starting quarterback. A lot of these guys are going to make plays to be starting quarterbacks in that Ohio State QB room. Julian Sayin will not finish the season as the OSU starter. Don't expect him to start the Michigan football game. Penn State, Drew Aller. Yes, I think Drew Aller can throw 10 interceptions in a game and still be the Penn State starter because that's how James Franklin operates. Georgia, Gunnar Stockton. No. I think Ryan Puglisi can give him a run for his money. I don't like Gunnar Stockton at all. I think Georgia's season is going to fall off the rails come mid-November, and Gunnar Stockton will be out as quarterback, either before then or after then. But no, he will not finish the season as the Georgia starting QB. Notre Dame, CJ Carr. I like CJ Carr, and I think it's going to be a tough battle with Kenny Minchie. I just hope Marcus Freeman doesn't run for the hills the first time things go wrong. I'm going to say yes right now for CJ Carr, but I'm on the fence about it. Clemson, Cade Klubnik. Same thing with James Franklin and Drew Aller. Dabo Swinney and Cade Klubnik have a tight relationship. It's a yes for me. He will be their starter at the end of the season. Oregon, Dante Moore. New starting quarterback in town for Oregon. There's turmoil. There's Dante Moore. But they don't have a constant or a really solid backup if Dante Moore doesn't play well. He didn't play well at UCLA, and he didn't play at all last season. It's a new thing for him in Oregon, Dante Moore. But Austin Novosad isn't going to make a run for his money with Dante Moore here. So I'm going to say yes for Dante Moore in Oregon. Alabama, Ty Simpson. No. I think Ty Simpson is going to be the starter day one. I think Austin Mack and Keelan Russell are going to challenge him at some point in the season. And no, Ty Simpson won't finish the season as Alabama's starter. LSU with Garrett Nussmeier. Nussmeier is a pro at this. He's been in college for a very long time, since I was in 8th grade. Yes, Garrett Nussmeier. Miami and Carson Beck. Here's the big one. The biggest NIL deal ever Carson Beck got this offseason. Will he be their starter at the end of the season? No. I think Miami, whoever they start quarterback after him, whether it's Emory Williams, whether it's Jude Anderson, whatever it might be, I don't think Carson Beck is the starter at the end of the season because I don't think Miami has a good team this year. I don't think Miami succeeds with Carson Beck at quarterback. And Mario Cristobal makes a switch mid-season or even later in the season or even after week 1. We'll have to wait and see with Miami football. But no, Carson Beck won't finish as a starter. Fold Carson Beck, fold Julian Sayin, fold Gunnar Stockton, and fold Ty Simpson. Hold the rest of them in the top 10, and we're good. Still more to come on Schoolyard Sports with Lane and Frank, episode 226, and a lot more college football coverage coming for the rest of the year. Stay tuned. Let's go around the bases and the MLB, where I want to talk about baseball being the best fan experience. Going to a baseball game is the best experience you'll have. I think it might even be better. Well, let me not go crazy, better than the college football game, but it's about better than everything else. Baseball, a real experience you get. You get the outdoor experience where it doesn't matter what seat in the house you have, you can walk around the whole stadium. You're going to get the best concessions. There's action no matter what's going on. I think there's always action. In NBA games, yes, the play is always rolling, but it's not always exciting. In baseball, it is, in my opinion. Pitch clock, I enjoy that. New MLB. I think walk-up songs are a great way to keep fans engaged, have players have fun, especially late in games. The player entrances in night games are incredible. I mean, I went to the Mets-Giants game last week. Ryan Helsley coming in for his debut in a tie game with Hells Bells in the background. It's electric. Edwin Diaz's Narco. It's incredible. These player entrances like Joanne Duran, Mason Miller, Ryan Helsley, Edwin Diaz, Mariano Rivera, back in the day, baseball is progressing at a great rate. We see the Field of Dreams game for the past few years, and then this year we got the Speedway Classic, which may have been played in the lake the first night, if you watch that first thing in that game before they had to postpone it. But it's a cool event. I mean, you're playing at the largest stadium in America, 100,000 fans at the baseball game, most you've ever seen at a baseball game. We also have the record for the most football fans ever at a game at the Speedway Classic back in 2016. Virginia Tech and Tennessee, week 2, broke Michigan Notre Dame's record of 108,000. That was 132,000. So cool to see baseball having a lot of fans at games. Attendance is always going up. Concession prices are always going up, but so are the amount of food fans are consuming. It's a great game, baseball. I think baseball is the best fan experience. And hey, it's in the summer, which we all enjoy. The best time of the year for the weather is the best time of year for baseball. That's about it from my Around the Bases this week, with my take on baseball. Still more to come on Schoolyard Sports Lane and Frank, episode 226. Now, at the buzzer, told you I'd talk more about college football. We're doing it right here. Is there parity in college football, or should we worry about it? Now, a lot of people say, well, NIL ruins this, transfer portal ruins this, where all these low-level schools, their top players transfer out to the top schools, and there's no more parity in college football. Right and wrong. I think you're right for the part of the top 10 teams where, yes, it's the powerhouse. It's going to be the Georgia. It's going to be the Texas, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, Miami. All those top teams in there have the transfers. They have the NIL market on control right now. They control it. But there's still a lot of teams in here where parity shows because of the way they've been able to finagle the NIL and finagle the transfer portal. And I think parity is at an all-time high, 11 through 25 in college football, just maybe not 1 through 10. Because when did I ever think I could see Arizona State at 11 in the AP poll preseason, where Illinois is at number 12, South Carolina even at number 13? What about SMU at 16, their second year in the ACC? Indiana at 19, definitely didn't expect that. What about Kansas State at 20? Iowa State at 21. Programs you thought could be wrecked by NIL with good coaches, no, they're still top. Kansas State and Iowa State still in the top 25. BYU at 23, I didn't expect that. What about Texas Tech at 24? Jerry Maguire, head coach there, has done a great job. NIL there is at an all-time high right now. And 25, Boise State. A lot of parity in college football, 11 through 25. I wouldn't worry about it. I think parity may be at an all-time high in those areas, just not 1 through 10, which is fun for college football when you might see some upsets in the college football playoff where you have the top dogs in there, the best talent in there in the top 10, and a lot of fun teams, 11 through 25. That's about for At the Buzzer this week. Now, the best for last on this summer end-off episode 226, question of the day. If you could bring back one retired athlete and put them in their prime, who would it be? I've heard people say Ken Griffey Jr. I might even say David Wright is a Mets fan. Who would you say if you could put one retired athlete and put them back in their prime? Who would it be? Leave your answer in the comments. That's about for question day this week. That's about for Schoolyard Sports and Lane Frank, episode 226. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, review. Follow Schoolyard Sports on Instagram at Schoolyard Sports. Follow Schoolyard Sports on X at Schoolyard Sport for the best sports content in the world. Be back here next week, episode 227. Stay tuned.